Clark and Kelsey Mitchell courtside for Pacers game is full circle moment for WNBA. The Indiana Fever guards stole the show as they sat courtside for a Pacers preseason game, a relatively mundane moment that highlighted the skyrocketing momentum for women's basketball. Over the past few years, it's become customary for NBA players to show up to WNBA games in support, sitting courtside and receiving a massive ovation when they're shown on the in-arena jumbotron. During the New York Liberty's 2023 finals run, then Brooklyn Nets star Mikal Bridges was a sideline staple, while Kevin Durant immediately embraced the Phoenix Mercury after his trade to the Phoenix Suns last season. Having famous NBA stars courtside like LeBron James at the 2023 finals has served as a sort of litmus test for the league's popularity, evidence that the People's Society revere most think women's basketball is cool. But on Monday night, roles were reversed. Indiana Fever stars Clark and Kelsey Mitchell sat along the baseline of an Indiana Pacers preseason game, and it was them who received a rousing ovation from the fans at Gainbridge Fieldhouse when the camera panned over to the high-scoring duo. Clark, a recent winner of the WNBA's Rookie of the Year award, and Mitchell, a two-time All-Star, led the Fever to a playoff berth this past season and emerged as the two leading guard scorers after the Olympic break. They formed a formidable backcourt that captured the hearts of. In her first season as a professional, Clark brought tons of new fans and viewers to the WNBA. The Fever had the biggest attendance year in league history, averaging 17,036 fans per game at home. In contrast, the Pacers had the second lowest attendance in the NBA last season, averaging 16,526 fans per game. That's not a knock on the Pacers. Under the emergence of Tyrese Halliburton, the Pacers had a very successful season and made it to the conference finals as a number 6 seed. But the fact that the Fever actually had more spectators in attendance than the Pacers is a testament to Clark's profound impact on the basketball landscape and a newfound and growing enthusiasm for women's basketball. It's a small moment, but Clark and Mitchell sitting courtside and commanding so much attention while doing so is representative of a broader shift we've seen these past few years, where women's basketball has evolved from a sideshow to the main attraction. And it's pretty cool to see. Cheryl Swoopes' change of heart on Clark highlighted by playful Hall of Fame exhibit placement. Cheryl Swoopes was a vocal critic of Clark both before and during the Indiana Fever Stars' debut WNBA season, but has recently changed her tune on the 22-year-old. Pro Basketball Hall of Fame appears to have taken a playful dig at WNBA legend Cheryl Swoopes with their strategic positioning of a Clark sign. Swoopes had previously cast aspersions on Indiana Fever star Clark, both prior to and during the Rookie of the Year's impressive debut season in the major leagues. Clark, hailing from Iowa, opted to let her performance speak for itself, averaging 19.2 points per game along with 8.4 assists, 5.7 rebounds, and 1.3 steals while shooting 41.7% from the field. Clark's net worth revealed as record-breaking WNBA star makes surprising career move. WNBA make 3 major changes in wake of Clark's success. An injury to Angel Reese resulted in almost unanimous Rookie of the Year votes for Clark, with only one voter favoring another player over the 22-year-old. Despite being Clark's biggest critic, Swoopes recently commended the young player's performances, marking a significant change of heart from the 4-time champion and 3-time WNBA MVP. However, this hasn't deterred the Basketball Hall of Fame from having a bit of fun with their exhibit placements, reports the Mirror US. Swoopes, who was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2016 following an exceptional career, has a banner hanging inside the Massachusetts venue. Now, positioned directly beneath that banner is a poster of Clark proudly holding a basketball in her Fever uniform. Coco Gauff draws inspiration from surprise WNBA star A'ja Wilson amid challenging tennis season. Clark makes surprising and exciting career move after breaking records in debut WNBA season. During WNBA season, bars and restaurants say they saw greater customer demand for women's sports. Chicago AP Josh Pelka remembers having to beg and plead at bars and restaurants to get them to show WNBA games just a few years ago. Too often, the answer was a flat-out no. These days, he doesn't have to worry as much. As the general manager at Signature Bar and Restaurant in Chicago's South Loop neighborhood, about a 3-point shot from the Chicago Sky's home at Wintrust Arena, he has some say. But even when he's not at work, he has noticed a difference. "I've been to Cubs games this season and gone into sports bars in Wrigleyville and found the WNBA on TV, whereas 2 or 3 years ago that wasn't happening," Pelka said. The WNBA drew sellout crowds and unprecedented ratings in a transformational season that's winding down with a finals matchup between the New York Liberty, seeking their first title, and the Minnesota Lynx going for their record 5th. The best-of-5 series opened Thursday with Minnesota rallying to beat New York in overtime. Whether it was Indiana's Caitlin Clark and Chicago's Angel Reese taking their captivating rivalry from college to the pros, Simone Biles capturing more gold at the Olympics, or 92,003 fans packing Nebraska's football stadium for a volleyball game, women's sports in general are drawing more eyeballs. Sports bars and restaurants are taking note, adjusting their marketing and menus in order to attract a wider range of customers. At least some say they're seeing an increased demand for women's sports on their TVs, though the evidence is more anecdotal than statistical. A handful catering specifically to women's sports have opened in recent years, such as the Sports Bra in Portland, Oregon. Either way, fans have options if they want to grab a bite and a drink and watch a game away from home. You'll see small groups of women coming out to watch the actual sports, Bar Louie CEO Brian Wright said. And you see a lot of men requesting women's sports now. So it's kind of an entire paradigm shift of how women's sports are being viewed. You very seldom saw a group of men coming in saying, "Can you put on that WNBA game now?" That's really becoming commonplace. Bar Louie has restaurants in 21 states from coast to coast and as many as 20 TVs per location. As for how many are tuned to each specific sport, Wright said there's no real science in determining that. But he is sure of a few things. The chain is attracting a greater percentage of female customers. And when Clark or Reese were playing, that's good for business. Their NCAA tournament games the past 2 years, for example, created about a 10% bump in business. Twin Peaks, where most locations have 16 satellites and 75 TVs, the clientele skews about 80% male, CEO Joe Hummel said. But the gender gap is narrowing. 5 years ago we might not have advertised or pushed women's March Madness, Hummel said.